Hello everyone, welcome to the video. In this video, we will see what does page load strategy mean, how to set the page load strategy. We will observe that there are three types of page load strategies supported by Selenium WebDriver. They are normal, eager and none. Normal is the default page load strategy and it has maximum waiting time. The none strategy has minimum waiting time. Okay, let's get started. Let us start by understanding at what point the page load strategy comes into picture. So if you take a look at this example, let's say the WebDriver is executing this script and now it has just executed this particular line. How much time should it wait here before it moves to execute the next line of code? So that waiting time would be governed by the page load strategy that is configured for use. Okay, now let us understand what are the different types of page load strategy. There are three types of page load strategy available. So the first one is normal, second eager, and the third one is none. So normal is the by default page load strategy. Even if we do not configure any strategy, it would assume and take it as the normal strategy. Let us now move further to understand them one by one. Let's start with normal, which is a default page load strategy. It says WebDriver waits until the load event fire is returned. So now what does this load event mean? Let's click on this and check this out. So it says the load event is fired when the whole page has loaded, right? Including all dependent resources such as style sheets, scripts, iframes, and images. Right? So this is the important point. So it will wait for the entire page to load, and plus it will also wait for the dependent resources like style sheets, scripts, and iframes and images to load. Okay. So once that wait is over, then driver will move to execute the next line. Fine. Let's move to the next page load strategy, which is eager strategy. So what it says is WebDriver waits until DOM content loaded event is fired. Yeah, so if we see it here, like this is in contrast to DOM content loaded. So now what is the difference between DOM content loaded and load? That is mentioned here, which is fired as soon as the page DOM has been loaded without waiting for resources to finish loading, right? So now if we try to summarize, so when the page is getting loaded, there are two things. The first thing is whole page has been loaded, right? And the second thing is including all dependent resources such as style sheets, scripts, iframes, and images. So in case of load, it will wait for both of these things. And in case of DOM content loaded, it will wait only for the page load and it will not wait for the dependent resources like style sheets, iframes, etc. Right? Yeah. Yes. So since here it is waiting only for limited steps, so therefore the waiting time will be less. However, there is not a certainty that the element that we need to work upon is available, right? So that we need to decide from case to case. Yeah. Now moving to the third strategy, which is none. So as we see, it says WebDriver only waits until the initial page is downloaded. So here the waiting time is very, very minimal. Just that, as soon as the initial page is loaded, the WebDriver will move further. Okay, well, so we have seen the three different types of page load strategies. We also saw what is the difference between them, right? Now let us go into some other important details related to these strategies. If you take a look here, it says like when navigating to a new page via a URL, means we are typing this URL, right? Either we are saying back or forward, we're typing, right? Some sort of navigation. By default, WebDriver will hold off on completing a navigation method until the document ready state is complete. This is the important point. This does not necessarily mean that the page has finished loading, especially for sites like single page application that use JavaScript to dynamically load content after the ready state returns complete. Yes. So now we may think that normal strategy takes the maximum time waiting time, and uh, after the wait is over for normal strategy, and execution flow moves to the next line of code, right, everything would be available on the page. So that's the warning that is being written here. It is not the case. It will depend from the type of the application that is under test, right? So I would suggest please reread this line. Yeah, so that is what is written here. Another important point here to note is, note this behavior does not apply to navigation that is a result of clicking an element or submitting a form. What it means, let's say we are clicking on this button here and it's taking us to another page, right? For example, let's say I've clicked, now it's taking us to another page. So in this particular case, this waiting strategy will not be applicable, right? Or if you're submitting a form, then it will not be applicable, right? Yeah, does not apply to navigation that is result of clicking an element or submitting a form. So another important point. Okay, let us move further. Now that we have seen the three types of page load strategy, now comes the question that in which case we should use which one, right? So if your page does not take much time to load, then it is best to use a normal page load strategy. However, let's say if your page is taking too much time to load and you want to reduce the load time, I mean, you need to see if the assets, like you're not performing any testing on the images or CSS, etc., right? So then we could make use of eager strategy instead of none, right? If it's that is what is recommended here. As we see, if a page takes long time to load as a result of downloading assets that aren't important to your automation, right, as we just discussed, you can change from default parameter to normal, right? So now here is an important point. So in this case, when we are switching from normal to eager, right, I mean, you need to add some extra waiting strategy. This is a page load waiting strategy, but let's say if you're working on a particular element, you need to support it with additional waiting strategy. For example, like fluent wait, right? You may need to use some explicit wait, fluent wait, right? So that will ensure that the element with which we need to interact is in its right state, right? Here is a quick summary of what we covered in the video. We started by understanding what is page load strategy. We understood what is the point in the execution flow where the page load strategy comes into the picture. We also observed that page load strategy does not come into the picture uh, when we click on any particular element or we submit a form. Then we saw the different types of page load strategy: normal, eager, and none. We went through them one by one. Well, that's all for this video. Let me know in comments section if you have any queries. I will get back to you soon. Do consider to like, share, and subscribe if you found this useful. Thank you.